judicial court.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Right.
We're doing that right now.
Because that is happening. Labor has been disrespected. When you choose a leader, the leader gives the direction and the philosophy and the belief system of the society. Rowley is anti-labor. So when he decimates and he busts all the unions and he breaks them down, that trickles down into every aspect, both in the public sector and the private sector, where employees are disrespected and treated against without the confines of the law. Rowley does not even maintain the tripartite committee on discussions. Imbot comes now and says he has instructed the CPO to start a talk to unions. What does that mean? So, my brother, I empathize with you. I hope your lawyers get it to the court quickly and that you get some redress.
Anil, I would like to ask you if we could come to you and have an interview with you on air to vent this situation and let the public know what is really going on. Would I be able to do that with you?
Well, you've already let
is there any way that we could come and have an interview with you, the representatives that we have could come and
how
share
many
the
workers
information
is
and
it?
the facts of the situation with you also. Let everybody know what is happening.
Yes,
could
definitely, of course.
So how do I proceed to...
All right, well, message me after. Call after any break and I'll give you my number. Okay, my brother. Blessings.
All right.
Well, you see, everybody is under pressure. And that is not a unique story. That is not a one-off story. Cocky died in norm. Yeah. People getting fired left, right, and center. Anyhow, anyway, anyhow, any way you want, because Rowley has decimated the unions. And if unions are weak, then workers are at risk. Yes. Good morning.
Morning, Anil.
Morning.
Yeah, I am an oil and gas engineer.
Yes.
I study a lot about this Lake Asphalt. Is a company that we could benefit a lot from, but what happening? Need to get that fixed.
You're breaking up. What we need to get fixed?
Lake Asphalt.
Yes. What are your suggestions for fixing it?
Well, the government have to find a source of bitumen, because we use bitumen to make all kind of products and also hot mix. That is why we can't get roads fixed.
Well, because the Petrotrain refinery was shut down, and one of the products that it was making and refining and producing for local consumption and a bit for export up the islands was bitumen. But the PNM shut it down.
Yeah, but we had to do something, eh, Brett?
Well, boy, we had to do something. Well, the people have to unite and get rid of Rowley and put Kamala as Prime Minister. Then we could do something. You and me sitting down here in our constitution, only the government and the cabinet can make decisions to impact the lives of the citizens. So the something that we must do is unite under Kamala Persad-Bissessar and remove Rowley from every seat anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, my brother. That is the solution. Because your opposition in our constitutional system cannot formulate a policy, cannot bring a law, cannot spend a dollar, cannot create or change policy, cannot direct state companies, cannot implement their managerial skill, cannot use their creativity and their brilliance to impact the lives of Trinidad and Tobago. Elections have consequences. So when you give up your vote, look at what happened in Laventille yesterday. Did you all see on social media? Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines and another Rastaman Leons, who I think is a nice fella, intelligent fella, just has no testicular fortitude and he's abused by those above him. Do you know, Corky? Yes. They had put up big tent and ribbon and security and special brands and thing to open my standpipe in Laventille. What? I'm not joking with all, 218-7762 to open my standpipe. The PNM open my standpipe in Laventille and cut ribbon and decorate the standpipe with WhatsApp blue. All you look up, all you making joke in this country, a standpipe for my children in Laventille. But I don't know the PNM. I don't know what is wrong with the PNM. How in your mind, think about the thought process of that. All right, Wasa has produced a standpipe there. It's looking shiny with the copper top, the concrete smooth. And let's get 2-3 ministers and go up there with CEO and Mama Guy people with a ribbon to cut a standpipe. No, very serious, Them serious, They like the hub, they open a bus shelter the other day, and then they cut ribbon to open mailbox up there in the east-west corridor. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Anil Robert.
Morning.
I just called to listen to your program. It's a good program, but I want to say, Rowley, when Rowley say everybody keep sleeping, everybody, this one hungry, that one hungry. Well, when he was passing around for the election thing, he didn't say, we didn't tell him to give him a break, but he tell him to give him a break now, and they all think he's the next one by himself. They see all of them need to go in a boat and just drift them away. The wicked. Man didn't really say so. Show me a lion, I'll show you a thief. He said, don't make the mistake and put that man in office. But he really said, don't put him in office. You give him the position. But once you put him there, the man is out of control and wicked. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, brother. Blessings. 218-7762. We're taking your calls. And to the mass media, are you all going to ask the question of Rowley? Rowley, where were you on August 12th? Did you go to President's house? Did you intercept Bliss C. Prasad? Madam President, did you facilitate a meeting between the Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, and the Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Bliss C. Prasad? Did you do that, Paula May Weeks? Why you gone quiet? You come out, jump out yourself, attack Kamala, you were wrong, you apologize. Now you're gone quiet again, you're going back to sleep? Eh? What do you have on a duvet? Look, I don't know what to say in this country now. Good morning, good morning. 218-7762. U97.5 FM. Doubles and coffee. Coming up at 7:10. MP for Princestown, Barry Padarat will be locked on here with us. With Corky. Corky will get him, and we will be discussing a myriad of issues, especially your tea and tech bill. The PNM now coming to Woodhall here with that. So nothing. Imagine my boy from Manzanilla call, and he can't even go out. He living in paradise. He can't even go out on the beach and check it. He afraid to get locked up in this police state that we have here called Trinidad and Tobago. Rowley's country. Rowley Mandarin. So Barry Padarat, MP for Princestown, will be on at 7:10. Pain everywhere, says the Express. This week's announcements of increased taxi fares on some major routes and a hike in bread prices by the country's largest producer have rattled consumers who are already contending with higher prices for groceries, fresh produce, and a range of other items. One wonders how people without jobs and those on minimum wage are managing to survive, when even salaried workers are complaining about running on empty after meeting basic needs. The immediate outlook is for more pain. In addition to the introduction of the new property tax regime, the government has signaled a reduction of subsidies which will impact water and electricity rates. Sooner or later, elections have consequences, people. To the Express. Don't you all understand? By having Asha Javid writing in your newspaper, using your newspaper to prop up Rowley, by not letting the country know at the onset the kind of man Rowley was, that he lied on Emailgate, that he attacked Patrick Manning, that he lied on Manning, that the entire off inquiry was brought about because Rowley's contractor did not get a contract. He brought down a PNM governor because his contractor did not get a contract. He brought y'all down. If y'all doubt it, go and read the off-inquiry recommendations, of which I have them here. And in the 8 o'clock hour, I might read it out for y'all. And let's see if Rowley, the man who fought and told y'all that Patrick Manning was corrupt and Rowley was the bastion of integrity, morality, and procurement, and Rowley got the off-inquiry. We'll check and see if Rowley has lived up to any of the recommendations of the off-inquiry or if he made it worse. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Robert.
Morning.
And how are you going?
I do well. That's a good question, but you go ahead.
All right. this morning I'm listening to you carefully about Rowley is a liar. Now, Patrick Madden was giving us that when the built-up was going, when they was going at each other's throat in Parliament. You remember that, right?
Yes.
When he called him a raging bull,
Yes.
and a Rottweiler and all kind of thing, and all look careful with him.
Right.
So he lying from then. There was an investigation on him at something when he did in Tobago when he was a teacher. He said no police never investigate he, you know. Anytime an accusation make against he send his MPs, like you said before. He does have his MPs and them with the chain of line in what you talk about just now for corruption. He don't have nobody there to investigate, no police. He sent Camille Robinson Regis and Faris Alwari. He said, they lying on me. I have two sons. Two daughters. They lying on me. When he won election, the two sons that they accuse him for standing behind him. So he's a liar. And I just be surprised that no decent people in Tobago who are over 50 years, who know what Vanilla Toppin was talking about, this man don't say nothing about Robert.
Thank you, my brother. God bless. We go into the news at 7 o'clock on U97.5 FM. Coffee and doubles. Hot like pepper.
Every word. Every line. Every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
It's time to make your community better than before. Join yours truly, Kieran Joseph Samaru, on Your Community. We'll be discussing the important issues with the important people in the place most important to you, your community. Join us every Tuesday at 9 p.m. right here on MCTV as we know and make your community better than before.
You! What are you doing on Tuesday at 7:30? I'm going to our service. Join me on Tuesdays on MCTV. Don't make joke. Every week, new episode. What are you waiting on? Make sure and schedule me in. Don't make joke. MCTV original series. Make sure and watch.
News on MCTV.
This is the 7 a.m. news on MCTV and U975 Hot Like Pepper Radio. I am Andrew Chan. Good morning once again. Former minority leader in Tobago, Ashworth Jack, is glad Tobagonians can go back to the polls. But speaking with Rishi Harinanan on the MCTV News 6 p.m. news last night, Jack noted COVID-19 had badly affected the Sister Isle, and there has been no proper development in the last 40 years. The election date has been confirmed as December the 6th.
The issue of the 6th deadlock, there's a possibility of resolving it. So I think that is something that is wrong overdue. So I think in that case, I think we all should be happy that there's a new election day. The question is, what are the issues that will be dealt with in this election? Because if you piggyback what is happening in Tobago, especially with what has happened in the last 18 to 19 months with COVID, and what happened prior to that, then you recognize that Tobago is in a worse position that it has been for probably the last 50 or 30 years.
Jack added as well, small businesses were suffering even before the COVID. He explained those businesses depend on trade and shipping between Trinidad and Tobago. Jack further claimed mismanagement at the Tobago House of Assembly had killed the international tourism market.
You know, a number of those businesses survived as a result of the movement of people between the islands. Trinidadians who come to Tobago, who come to Tobago from time to time, very often on a weekend and stuff like that. That is the biggest bulk of our tourism, because the THA has crashed the tourism, the international tourism industry. And so what has happened in the last couple of years is that even the local juice industry, because, you know, I found 3 or 4 flights to Tobago.
The $50 million grant for small and medium enterprises is insufficient. This is according to Chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries, Mark Edgehill. He was weighing in during a post-budget contribution on an MCTV's Brighter Morning with Bo yesterday. Edgehill said much more support should have been given to the services industries.
Services, or at least the TTCSI, did not see sufficient grants or support being provided for the wider services industries. We did see the 50 million allocation for the MSMEs, which included some ICTs and business startups, but we also saw that that was allocated specifically or had to be related to the manufacturing sector, which of course is something that I've spoken to, that I believe it should be opened up to all types of business services once they meet the criteria to be allowed to access that kind of funding to develop their services.
Despite this, however, the TTCSI chair said the overall $52 billion budget presented by the finance minister on Monday was fair. Edgehill was pleased with the fact that more money in the fiscal package was allocated to the various sectors, even though the government would have had to utilize scarce resources to manage the COVID-19 pandemic.
That said, the initial feeling about the budget seems fair enough. A lot more allocations to the various sectors at a time when we assumed that there was insufficient funding, especially based on the fact that so much had to be invested or utilized from limited resources to manage the pandemic. We have, luckily, several sectors who are benefiting significantly. Agriculture being another one. Which again we also need to have better organized and more production coming for our own food supply sustainability also.
In some international news now, a report from the BBC says Nicole Jack and her 3 daughters are currently being held in a detention camp in Syria alongside thousands of wives and children of Islamic State fighters. Jack left London with her husband and her then 4 young children to join Islamic State in October 2015. Jack said she only left to keep her family together. The following year, her husband died fighting for the militant group. She then remarried to another foreign Islamic State recruit, Trinidadian fighter Adil de Montrichard, who went on to die in an airstrike which also killed her 10-year-old son Isaac. Jack has British and Trinidad. The 34-year-old told the BBC that despite living under IS rule for 3 years, she was not a security risk to the United Kingdom. And that brings us to the end of the 7 a.m. news on MCTV. Brighter Morning with Dr. Bo continues, while another newscast comes up at 8 a.m.
News on MCTV.
Need a car? Spend less and hire the very best. Mitch Car Rentals, the best cars at the most affordable rates. Also available, quality affordable lawn care. Full service lawn care company. You grow it, we'll mow it. Reliable service with quality results at Mitch Car Rentals. Located at 178 Waterloo Road, Karapichama. Call us today at 788-8420. Mitch Car Rentals.
Mitch Car Rentals, pay less and hire the best. The best cars at affordable rates. Also available, quality affordable lawn care. Full service lawn care company. You grow it, we'll mow it. Reliable service with quality results. So if you need a car, check out Mitch Car Rentals today. They are located at 178 Waterloo Waterloo Road, Carpichima. Or you can even give them a call on 788-8420. Mitch Car Rentals.
And this traffic update brought to you the kind compliments of Mitch Car Rentals on U97.5 FM, hot like pepper. If you are on the Uriah Butler Highway, even though it's gloomy, it's dark, it's overcast, and the road is quite wet, you are moving quite smoothly past Chaguanas into Charlieville, moving into Caroni, heading towards Grand Bazaar. You can possibly hit the speed limit at 100k, but definitely the road conditions would not want you to do that. So handle it at 65 to 70k comfortably. Listen to U97.5 FM. You slow down a bit with the intersection at Grand Bazaar with the Churchill Roosevelt and the Uriah Butler. You slow down to about 35 kilometers per hour. That traffic update on a gloomy morning, a gloomy Thursday morning, was brought to you with the kind compliments of Mitch Car Rentals.
Now in comes the musical theme from the King's Offspring, Jesse. Some people you're right, and them still choose to show you hate. Run them out of your yard. From them I play bad young, I them a backbiters, hypocritical to sideless. We call them modern day Judas, the spreaders of rumors. Oh, them a backbiters, hypocritical to sideless. We call them modern day Judas, spreaders of rumors. Hey, so why should I be afraid of you when you bleed just like I do? The more you try fight, judge a light keeps shining through. So I've got no time for you, cause in my view you wanna step in on my shoe. You wish you never leave a loo and feel so damn confused. How every day you wake you ache because you know you're fake, and every step you take I bring you closer to your grave. But I am like a column when I easily shake. Me certain say I feel me none of who can't take. We guided by the monster, defender of the faith. Yes, ordained to be great. Oh, them are backbiters, hypocritical to sideless. We call them modern day.
And welcome back inside U97.5 FM. Hot like a pepper, doubles and coffee. And I can tell you, I heard a PNM man talking about, Anil, you black man, you're selling out the black people for the Indian. Let me tell you something, Mr. PNM. The Douglas had no race. Trinidad and Tobago, we all bleed one blood. We are all red, white, and black, you clung. And let me tell you something. If you think that PNM is good for black people, just look at what your PNM did yesterday with ribbon cutting for a standpipe in Laventille. I know that the UNC opened a desalination plant back under Pandey in the United National Congress, and we opened all sorts of big waterworks and facilities for human beings across this country to give service. We don't cut ribbon for a standpipe with human beings. And that is black people, little children. If you see the little children, what do you say? Are you black and proud that Ethelbert and Leon's cut a ribbon for a flipping standpipe? That is where my black people reach in 2021. Kamala giving them laptop, taking them into the digital world, creating jobs and opportunities for them to make money and buy a house and build and own land and to move forward with their families. You going to cut a ribbon for a standpipe and tell me about black man, black party, PNM? Look, give me a rest now, fire, burn the PNM. Good morning, a man who brings fire on the PNM whenever he's in parliament, whenever he's on the hustings, an intelligent, brilliant soldier of the United National Congress is on the line with me, member of parliament for Princestown, the Honorable Barry Paderat. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Anil, and good morning to your listeners.
You want to cut ribbon for a standpipe? Hello?
Hello?
You want to cut ribbon for a standpipe like Ethelbert Hines and Leon's up in Laventille?
Well, Anil, you know, we belong to a party that delivers.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not about cutting ribbon and public relations. We're about delivery and service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I think this morning they're seeing a stark difference to what they grew accustomed to during the period 2010 to 2015 to where we are today. So you're doing a good job in terms of highlighting that contrast between the People's National Movement, now known as the Pothole National Movement, and the United National Congress, a party that delivers under Kamala Prasad-Bissessar.
Barry Padarat, we see the Minister of Public Utilities making the rounds, preparing the population for the pending increase in their utility rates, in their electricity rates, in their water rates. Talk to me about that and how insensitive the PNM continues to be, this heartless Rowley government.
Well, Anil, I think we owe a deep Hello?
Yes, you're breaking up a little bit, but go ahead. We're hearing you now.
Anil, I think we owe a deep debt of gratitude to you this morning for dropping a grenade on a Joint Select Committee on Land and Physical Infrastructure that met in May of this year, when you really exposed the PNM and their plot with respect to the increase in these rates that we will see coming from the RIC. And this morning, I want to say frontally to the Regulated Industries Commission that you can run, but you cannot hide. After Anil Roberts exposed you at the Joint Select Committee in May, we are now seeing the effects of that exposure. I want to start at the very beginning, Anil, with respect to this rates increase for both WASA and TNTech. And let us start with TNTech first. TNTech, many people in this country may not be aware, but TNTech receives a subsidy from NGC when they purchase gas from NGC for electricity production. So currently, as it stands, NGC sells TNTech this gas at a subsidized cost. At that Joint Select Committee for Land and Physical Infrastructure at the Parliament, you raised a very pointed question of whether or not Minister Imbert's announcement of removing fuel and gas subsidies will affect the subsidies negotiated between NGC and TNTech. That will then inform the RIC's position as it relates to how they determine what new rate will be applied for electricity. This morning, I want to ask the Minister of Public Utilities whether or not these subsidies that NGC sells their gas to TNTech has been removed or reduced. The minister jumped out of his whole self when he was asked in the Parliament, and he danced and he waffled around the issue. But this morning, the information coming to us is that the subcommittee of Cabinet made a proposal, because it is really the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago that determines whether or not NGC will provide this subsidy to TNTech. So it's a situation of playing smart with foolishness by the minister going out there and saying, well, the Regulated Industries Commission will determine the new rates. The new rates will be determined based on what price NGC gives to TNTech. And who gives NGC the price? It is the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago that determines the price that NGC will sell to TNTech. Anil, you and I know that.
Exactly.
You have been a Cabinet Minister. I have been around a long time to know that the Cabinet tells NGC what price to sell it to TNTech. But Anil, there's something even more frightening. I read a document this morning where Minister Colm Imbert in February is telling a spotlight somewhere in the Hyatt. You know, they like to go in the Hyatt, drink champagne and eat lobster and then put tax on it for the rest of the country. But eating it at the taxpayer's expense. I am seeing Colm Imbert in February saying that the government of Trinidad and Tobago had to take a listen to me carefully, Arnold, not $5 million or $5,000, you know. The government of Trinidad and Tobago took a $5 billion loan to pay off the debt that TNTech has to NGC, because TNTech is totally bankrupt. And if they allow the debt that TNTech has to NGC to keep registering on the books of NGC, NGC and all will end up in major financial problems, heading on its way to bankruptcy. So they are keeping these companies afloat by continuously borrowing and indebting the country, and at the same time is not saying what is the position as it relates to the subsidy in terms of the prices that NGC will sell to TNTech, who can't even pay for the gas in the very first place. So the bottom line that the minister is playing foolishness with is that the RIC is getting the blame as a scapegoat by this government for why these rates will increase. But the bottom line is that the government will really essentially determine the rates that NGC sells to TNTech, whether they're paying or not. It will continue to register on the government books. You understand that, Anil?
Absolutely.
So it's not like a write-off. It is like a company that is continuing to sink further and further and further into a black hole. But who is paying for that? The people of Trinidad and Tobago are the ones who are paying for that. And the government is using the RIC. And I want to remind members of the public, you and I know, Anil, that the RIC, because you raised the issue of the Joint Select Committee, and I want to congratulate you for your bravery and for standing up for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because they have independent senators who chair commissions and chair Joint Select Committees, pretending to be independent in this country, where you and I know that they are wearing their P&M knickers.
Exactly.
To come to the parliament and hiding behind the cloak of independency, right? But the real situation there at the RIC is that these commissioners who sit on the RIC, they are appointed by the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. So therefore, they are beholden to members of the cabinet and the prime minister and the government in terms of who put them there. So when you ask them at the Joint Select Committee of how could they be independent, they really could not give you a straight answer because they cannot be independent. Exactly. The RIC is taking their instructions, whether it is in a roundabout kind of way or whether it's in a frontal way, from the government of Trinidad and Tobago. But Anil, I discovered a very interesting thing this morning, and I shared it with our political leader, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, who I know will be dealing with this matter frontally when she speaks in the parliament from 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
To do with the RIC process.
Hold
now,
on, Barry.
Rates,
Barry.
to come up with a new rate for water and electricity, the RIC has to fulfill a statutory process. So it's not a willy-nilly kind of thing that they can go and do what the hell they want. So Trinbagonians still have an opportunity. So when we tell you stand up and let your voices be heard, you have the opportunity to do so, and I will tell you how, Anil.
Right.
The RIC process first is that they have to get a business plan from WASA and a business plan from TNTech in terms of their proposed pricing.
Right.
As far as we understand, WASA and TNTech has submitted that to the RIC. The second thing that the RIC must then do, the RIC must then do its review of the business plan and the price proposal and come up with their own fundamental perspectives in terms of what their thoughts are on it. We are advised that that second process has been completed. So where we are right now is at the third and final process, and this is where it gets very interesting, Anil. And bear in mind, the Trinidad and Tobago is in a state of emergency right now. Bear in mind that there are COVID regulations that prevent people from going outside there and raising their voice, protesting, etc. But the very third and final part of where the RIC has reached right now has to do with the public consultations. So they can't just go and impose anything on you right now. By law, it says that they have to consult with the public. We advise that the RIC has been instructed by the cabinet through their syndicates and their henchmen, including the minister that is involved, and that is why the minister has found a voice all of a sudden, that the cabinet, through the minister and others, are telling the RIC, well, tell people to send email and text message. We can't have no public consultation right now because we have COVID and we have state of emergency. It is a way of suppressing the voice of the people of Trinidad and Tobago as it relates to water and electricity rates. So they have found an excuse once more to suppress these voices. And, you know, interestingly, Anil, I heard you say something earlier today, which is people sometimes ask, where's the opposition, and where's Kamala, and where's Anil, and where's Barry, and where's this one, and where's that one? But this is your opportunity. If you are so incensed of having to pay higher rates for a service that some of you all don't even get, that some of you get once for the month, that some of you can't even access but you're paying for. This is your opportunity. This is the opportunity when the RIC has these public consultations to demand that despite whether or not they have a state of emergency, whether or not they have COVID, because they could have Tobago elections in a state of emergency, they could have Tobago elections under COVID regulations, they could have Tobago elections if you're vaccinated or you're not vaccinated, you could go outside and vote. But they're telling you now that you can't have public consultation because it have state of emergency and it have COVID regulations because they do not want the people of Trinidad and Tobago to lift their voice in unison. They do not want the people of Trinidad and Tobago to come together to point out what is going on. And this has been one of the reasons why they continue going down this road of extending the state of emergency and extending these COVID regulations to ensure that they suppress the voices. So when people are complaining this morning about high electricity and water rates, don't feel it's the RIC that is being the ones. RIC is only the scapegoat for the government.
Barry,
it's really the government telling the RIC, do this, do
on
that,
that
do the
point.
other. Anil, you and I know that.
Yes,
that
on
is
that
how
point.
the PNM functions and the PNM operates.
On
so
that
this morning,
point, yes.
Trinidad and Tobago has an opportunity. And Trinidad and Tobago must determine whether they will continue to sit down and take it, because how government operates is that they're hoping with the state of emergency and the COVID regulations in place, and the third phase now the RIC is at as it relates to this three-pronged process of having the public consultations now, because the public consultations is the very last step before the RIC sends its final report. And if Trinidad and Tobago is serious and lifts its voice and says, no way, we are not accepting this, then the RIC and the government has no choice, because that is the part of the statutory process in order for this to come about. So Anil, Trinidad and Tobago has a little glimmer of hope this morning, but it is whether or not people will continue to sit down on their laurel and wait for Kamala and wait for Barry and wait that we will talk inside of the parliament, or whether or not they will come together and say, well, look, we will unite with the opposition as you have called for.
Barry, go back a little bit there, because when I was asking them back in May, I asked Mr. Ramsuk, I said, what is delaying your business plan? Why is your business plan delayed so that you're holding back and thwarting the business of the RIC? And he alluded to the point that he's waiting on the cabinet to give him the price at which NGC will be providing gas. So on that note, you are saying that the business plan is ready, which means the cabinet has decided already whether they will remove the subsidy partially, what percentage, or completely. And the removal of the subsidy will be the direct increase by the PNM government on electricity rates across the board, number one. And number two, Barry, I put it to you that the removal of the subsidy combined with Keith Rowley and Stuart Young's negotiation of the gas price with upstreamers in 2017 exacerbates the increases that the citizens are going to have to pay for electricity, because Rowley and Stuart Young agreed to pay higher prices per MMBTU with the upstream suppliers.
Correct. Now, Anil, that ties into a very interesting point at this point in time. With respect to the challenges that NGC is currently facing, that NGC cannot provide sufficient gas to several of these multinational companies that have existing contracts with. What is it going to be the situation with further down the road? Can NGC indicate to the country that they are in a position to continue providing natural gas in the amount that is needed for the operations of TNTech? But Anil, you also raised a very interesting point at that Joint Select Committee, and I think the Minister of Public Utilities is a bit confused as to his role and his responsibility at the Ministry of Public Utilities as it relates to TNTech. And I'll share this with you. You see, the remit of the power generation is under the purview of the Ministry of Energy. You and I know that. The power purchase agreements are crafted vested at the Ministry of Energy and agreed with the power generation companies, and that's like PowerGen and TGU and Trinity and so on. The minister has absolutely no locus to the matter, and the RIC has always suggested rate increases because of the PNM's continuing mismanagement of companies like TNTech, and now it's happening at NGC. So the expose that you just spoke about in terms of the negotiation of these gas prices that took place between the period 2015 to 2016 under a new Rowley administration, we are now seeing the manifestations of those negotiations, because at that point in time, the negotiations was done in a cloud of secrecy. You would recall that. Well, we told them, we said, well, how could the Prime Minister, and he said he was the #1 salesman in this country. The #1 salesman in this country has essentially sold out the people of Trinidad and Tobago and the patrimony of Trinidad and Tobago. Because this morning, NGC, a multi-billion-dollar company that brought in substantive revenues for Trinidad and Tobago, is now registering severe losses. And that is the reality of what Keith Rowley and Stuart Young has put this country in, and now it is having the ripple effect in terms of TNTech and other subsidiaries that are affected by NGC.
Barry, let me ask you this. If you said earlier in our conversation that Colin Mimbert said he borrowed $5 billion to pay off money owed to NGC for gas on behalf of TNTech, and if that price was subsidized and TNTech was unable to meet its responsibilities at that time, and now the subsidy would be removed in part, in whole, or in some portion, isn't it obvious that the increase in consumers' electricity bills has to be so astronomical as to overcome even the subsidized deficit, as opposed to an unsubsidized deficit that is coming up now due to the PNM's negotiation and removal of the subsidy in their heartless policy to suffer the people?
Correct, Anil. Because the Minister of Finance in February, when he made that announcement of the $5 billion injection through a loan agreement to NGC, said absolutely nothing about writing off the debt of TNTech, you know. So that's why I tell you, it's like a sinkhole that you continue to fall into. It's like a bottomless pit. But the minister himself said nothing about writing off TNTech's debt. And therefore, is TNTech going to end up like Petrotrin, where they're saying that they're not closing down TNTech, even though TNTech is bankrupt and they have run TNTech into the ground. You continue to inject money, and when you realize, well, there's nowhere to go from here, you close down this one company to open up another for friends, family, and financiers. But Anil, it doesn't stop at TNTech. It doesn't stop at TNTech. Let us raise the issue, and I heard you a little while ago. I was listening to your program. It's becoming so very popular. The minister also spoke about WASA.
Yes.
And the minister in his presentation, that's the Minister of Finance on Monday, had not a word to say about the Salcott. Not one word to say about the Salcott. And I will put my comments about the Salcott in the context of what is happening with respect to the increase in water rates. The Salcott's purpose and the Salcott's mandate was to provide a water supply for the Point Lisas industrial estate. That was so that government, the Pandey administration, when the Pandey administration, then minister would have been Minister Ganga Singh together with Mr. Pandey, Mrs. Pasabi, etc., being in that administration, further invested in Point Lisas through the Salcott by providing a supply of water outside of WASA's grid through the Salcott. Now, the Salcott, for all these years, have been providing water to the Point Lisas industrial estate at commercial rates, because they provided to Point Lisas industrial estate. These are multinational companies, these are oil and gas companies, so therefore they pay commercial rates. Anil, ArcelorMittal closed down. All these companies in Point Lisas have closed down. Do you know that the Salcott, as of now, for the past 2 years, that 50% of their customers on the commercial side no longer exist? So therefore, the Salcott has now entered the market of residential use. And what is happening is WASA is absorbing the cost as of now. And a similar thing, and I'm asking the minister must answer whether or not, because we are being told that recently WASA took a loan of $700 million to offset these costs. Now, Anil, now that may sound to you, well, if the Salcott not making money and then they're passing it on to the residential use, then, well, if people in residential areas are getting the supply, then they should be paying for it. It may sound simple as that, but Anil, it is not as simple as that. How did we arrive at the Salcott being a company purposely operating to provide for an industrial estate, losing 50% of its customers? How did we arrive at that?
Rowley
they
and
lost
Small
50% of their customers because of decisions, poor governance, management, but decisions taken by Rowley, Stewart, and his P&M administration.
Correct.
They are the ones who put Point Lisas in the position that they are today, that is now having a ripple effect on several other industries, now including WASA, through the Salcott. And that is why Colm Imbert skewed the facts on Monday. So he came and he spoke about, well, we will introduce from 25%, we will introduce now 35% for rebates. And that this will affect over 200,000 customers. So in one hand, you are saying, well, we're giving you this. On the other hand, you're taking, but Anil, you're taking from somebody who does not have anything to give. So you're making, it's like you're gaslighting the population, making them feel you're giving them something, when you're taking away something, when they have nothing, in fact, to give to you.
Exactly. And
They're
I like...
holding nothing in your hand right now, and they're making you feel, well, okay, we're giving you something, when in truth and in fact, it's being taken away from you, and you're being left to hold nothing. And that is the position of these rebates as it relates to water and electricity come January 1st, 2022.
But Barry, let me ask it this way. They said that $300 and less, a bill, a T&Tech bill, for example. Barry, I don't know about the customers out there, but I know that my T&Tech bill has come every 2 months. So what this means is that you are utilizing $150 per month in electricity, VAT inclusive. So if you take off the 12.5%, you're somewhere at around $132. Barry, what exactly could $132 in electricity provide you with? What? 2 bulbs? What it is?
Well, I think many people are still waiting for their 2 bulbs. But let's not stop at that, Anil. You had the Minister of Finance come to talk about social sector investment and had the audacity to stand up and tell a parliament. But the thing about it is that is what the people of Trinidad and Tobago has come to expect, and that is what they have come to accept. When a minister of government could stand up in a parliament and tell you that we have given people grants of $150 to last them for 3 months, not $1,500, you know, not $15,000, you know, $150. And he stands up very proudly in the parliament and expounds these things, and Trinidad and Tobago just accepts that.
Is $150 you say there?
$150.
US?
And he calls that social sector investment.
Social sector.
That is where your COVID relief money went to.
To $150?
$150.
But them just like KFC give their employees two Pepsi and a pie, a Jalita and 2 pie, and they were giving them $150 a week, and then they take away that too. So maybe that is the Christian Mute social sector investment that Colm and Christian Mute created for the PNM. $150?
Well, I know that will explain why Rowley can say the rich will get richer.
But clearly, Barry, I am not joking on this show. doubles on coffee. I told the people I went in a grocery and the groceries give good price, not one of them big bush grocery. And I just went to buy some evaporated milk and thing for my coffee and a Omega milk for cereal. And it $100 gone, a blue note.
Yes, yes.
And call me but boasting that they give $150 for whom to do what?
But Anil, it gets worse than that.
No man, it can't get worse, Barry.
It gets worse than
Barry,
that.
how you gonna get? You
Under
wicked
this
man.
government.
It can't get worse, Barry.
Under this government, Anil, it gets worse than that.
Oh
You
Lord.
know, somebody told me the only person who can zero rate a zero rated item who can go lower than the white line in the road is Coleman, but
Well, he did that Monday.
and he did that on Monday. But let me tell you how it gets worse, Anil.
Tell me.
When the chambers came out earlier this year, and they said over 6,000 small, medium enterprises have closed their doors during the COVID pandemic. Government disputed that, but never placed in the public domain what alternative facts they had, if they had any at all. All they did was come out and dispute it, but provided no data in the public domain. And this was not the UNC saying this. This wasn't Kamla and Anil and Barry saying this. These were the chambers of commerce whose customers essentially and members are these small and medium enterprises who will be familiar with the small and medium enterprises in their respective areas. So when the chamber came out earlier this year and they said 6,000 gone, all gone, right? Small and medium enterprises, because of this pandemic and the conditions that the government has the country under with the regulations. The Minister of Finance comes after I raised the issue. I've been asking for the week leading up to the budget. The $300 million loan facility that government announced as part of the COVID relief measure for the past year for small and medium enterprises to access in order to survive. I kept asking, how many businesses accessed this $300 million loan facility if we were to take what they were saying as gospel? All right? They said they set up a $300 million loan facility for small and medium enterprises to survive during COVID. You had to meet the criteria, regulations, etc., etc., etc. So the question then was, if 6,000 people closed down their small and medium enterprises in the last year, then how much people accessed this loan facility in order to keep their businesses afloat?
Exactly.
And the minister stands in the parliament very boldly, very confidently, and tells his country 272 small and medium enterprises access this loan facility, while 6,000 collapsed, went down the drain, went home, sent home people. People can't eat, people can't pay light bill, people can't pay water bill, can't send their children to school, can't buy a device.
272, he said?
Boldly says 272.
272 PNM.
6,000 have collapsed.
Barry.
Have gone off the grid essentially.
Barry.
Send people home.
Let me tell you something. I know of single mothers who doing small business, cooking food, making soup on a Saturday and so on, and they try to access that $300 million facility, and they keep messaging me and saying, but Anil, the forms, we fill out the forms, and when we finish fill out the form, they tell you that you have to answer 10 more questions, and when you answer the 10 questions, 6 weeks later they tell you have 8 more questions, and they took the people for a run around, the PNM run around all of these people with their small and micro enterprises, and now we are hearing that only 272 got through. Who is that? 272 who went by Balize House to fill out the form?
That is the criteria.
This is madness.
When we hear the minister on Monday talk about this cash utility card,
oh Lord,
fuel cash card. First of all, when you turn to the budget statement, I believe it's on page 62, Anil. I know you're a man who likes facts.
Yes.
When you turn to the budget statement and the minister announces a fuel cash card that will subsidize fuel through this card program that will be distributed like a food card, right?
For PNM alone.
First of all, what is the criteria
to get the card
that will be utilized to determine whether or not you are able to access this fuel card and this utility card? But interestingly enough, when you turn to page 62 of the budget statement, it says that this fuel card will fall under the Ministry of Public Utilities. What does public utilities have to do with fuel?
Exactly.
Now, again, this is a sideshow to ensure that friends, family, and financiers are the ones who benefit from these programs. And I will jog your memory, Anil. When we had the run-up to the election in August of last year, Shamfa Kojo was up and down this country distributing self-help grants to PNM candidates, not even ministers, not even MPs were dishing out and handing out these self-help grants at government functions, and the photographs and the footage is there for all to go and see. When they were doing that, several of us who were MPs in the last rounds, we asked, well, what about our constituencies? If you are giving out to these candidates and so on the eve of an election, therefore it should be across the board in terms of the self-help, providing these grants to all constituencies who have applied. You know what they told us? They told us nobody from what constituency applied. And when we provided them with the documentation, they said, we'll get back to you. And they never did. So people from the opposition constituencies, having applied, were never contacted. They never get any. But because you have a PNM party card, and you could go and wind down to Snake in the Balize and jump up when they have a rally, that was the criteria for getting these cards. And that is what is going to happen with these cash utility cards and this fuel card.
Barry.
And that is how they have now placed it under the Ministry of Public Utilities. So the minister there will then be in charge of running party group A, B, C, and D.
Barry,
for the Ministry of Public Utilities, and that is the criteria.
Barry,
so,
every
Anil, you and
every
I both know
system.
that there are some places in this country. Where you cannot even get PNM supporters to pay $99 to HDC for rent. For years, 10 and 20 years, they have thousands of dollars having been accumulated because they refuse to pay that $99 a month to HDC, now being the recipients of these cards. And I saw Terence Farrell, former central bank governor, but also AmCham, have come out and criticized the government for these cash cards and these utility and fuel cards by saying essentially what you are doing is not you're helping a man to learn to fish, you know. You say, here, look, a fish for today in exchange for your vote, and after that, to hell with you. You fend for yourself. So essentially, you're keeping an entire sector of the population in a dependency syndrome. But let us not forget that is how PNM has kept their supporters in bondage.
Barry, but that is the truth. Hello? We lost him there a little bit. Barry. Hello. We'll take a short break. We'll get Barry back on the line. And Barry, he's back. Barry, you there?
Yes, Anil, I'm
now,
here.
Barry, let me tell you something. This is so disgusting, and for the population to understand. The PNM, Kamala had laptop for everybody. Free laptop. The PNM take the laptop and now telling you on Monday, well, we take taxes off. Get your money to buy a laptop, but you have no tax, no VAT, but you have to buy it. But Kamala was giving everybody a free one. Now they take scholarships and move it from scholarship where you could study hard and earn your scholarship. They change it to bursary, which means you have to go in Balize house and make friends. They take now, Kamala had subsidy for everybody across the board equally. They remove the subsidy and they create a card that you have to go by Balize house to go and get it. And this is what they do. They give hampers to Shada Satram and candidates who lost, and do not give MPs taxpayers goods to share with the population who it belongs to. This is the PNM way, and I don't understand how people in the numbers can support that sort of madness. Who is going to get a card to go and get gas?
Exactly, Anil. Exactly. But Anil, this has been the history of the PNM. You and I both know that. From Eric Williams' days, the play script remains exactly the same. and that is to keep their supporters, the few supporters that they have that keep voting them back into government, to be in bondage. It's a way of control. So essentially, it is not a way of empowering people as Kamala Prasad-Bisesa did. I mean, you and I can go through a litany of programs, projects that directly impacted the lives of people between 2010 to 2015 that lifted them out of that poverty. So when they speak about programs like Color Me Orange and so on, with the disdain and the ridicule that sometimes they do, they know exactly why they do it. They do it because they do not want to empower people. They want to keep them where they are because that is how they get the vote.
Exactly.
And therefore the budget really addressed how they continue to institutionalize their corruption, their waste, and their mismanagement. But Anil, this is at the lower end of the spectrum. It is also happening at the upper end of the spectrum. When you look at some of the injections of government capital, we don't have finances, if we are to take the Minister of Works and Transport word for it, to fix landslips and potholes. Recently, there have been protests throughout the length and breadth of this country, including my very own constituency, and I congratulate my constituents once more, because they are being civic-minded and they are accepting that they have a role and responsibility to also place pressure on those that are in authority to put the resources where it is needed. So MP could write letter, MP could stand up in protest, MP can raise questions in Parliament, but unless civil society and the average citizen do not get up from their laurels and say, I have a role and responsibility as well, then only then we will see that level of change. But this waste, mismanagement, and corruption is also happening at the upper echelons of the People's National Movement through some of these programs. When you see injections of $155 million being placed in WASA, and, you know, it's often said, Anil, for you and I who are parliamentarians, the devil is in the details. The budget statement is one thing that the minister will come and read. But you get a pile of documents, and unless you are very astute, like some of us are in terms of analyzing these documents, you will see where they hide. They hide financing to provide contracts to big boys in the P&M, but with very little results in terms of the effect that it will have on the population. So when I'm looking through the development program, and you see $155 million here for rehabilitation of communities. And Anil, you know what the rehabilitation of communities entails? It entails giving people 800-gallon water tank and establishing community tanks. It's not about putting pipe in the ground so that you will have water at your home, you know. It's not about putting pipes and so on that you will have a long-term solution to persons who do not have pipe-borne water. What it is for somebody to get a contract to buy water tanks to distribute to certain communities. And when you look at the communities that have been identified, it is only die-hard P&M communities. When you look at some of the major injections, let's take, for example, all these hotels that the Minister of Finance has announced. And you go back to the company's registry, and you look at the players who are involved in these multinational projects that they have announced for Tobago. And you look at some of these players, these are the same players who crashed projects that government injected substantial revenues of Trinidad and Tobago in past P&M administrations.
Exactly.
Let's take the Carlton Savannah, for example.
Talk to me.
Almost $1 billion spent. They bring down the Queen of England. They wined and dined, and Rowley and Imbert cannot say they were not part of that. They were in the Patrick Manning administration at that time, Anil. They sat, they wined, they dined with the Queen of England, Her Majesty. Built $1 billion for her to stay in, overlooking the Prime Minister's mansion that costed us a further $400 million. Rowley and Imbert sat in the cabinet when P&M financiers were getting those projects, when persons like the Rahal family was involved in those projects, if we are to take the information that from the company's registry to be true. The Rahal family was involved in those projects. When Carlton Savannah went belly up, a year or two after it was opened, it didn't even take them 5 years, 10 years, almost 1 year later after the Carlton Savannah, which was injected with millions, almost $1 billion in government funds, went belly up. They abandoned and closed down the place. Today, we are being told that that very same directorate will benefit from government injections as it relates to projects for hotels in Tobago. So where are you continuing to get these same players rebranding themselves by different names, benefiting from billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, but with P&M linkages, friends, family, and financiers? And you have to say this morning, connect the dots. Connect the dots. And
Barry?
therefore, there are some elements in this country who do not have the testicular fortitude or have no fortitude at all, whether it's testicular, ovarian, any other kind, to stand up to this government. I saw that there are some chambers who will not even read the budget documents, but will take Imbert's statement as fact and say, great job. P&M henchmen in chambers like the Sawan Barataria Chamber of Commerce jump out of their whole self to say, great budget. And when you look at the details and you go into the public sector investment program, the social sector investment program, you go into the draft estimates as it relates to the development program, you look at these things and you see the billions of dollars in waste, mismanagement, and corruption under the PNM and the interlocking directorate. There are some people in this country who are only interested in themselves and their party and their ministers and their representatives because they eat enough food. And that is the reality of some of these chambers of commerce and some of these business interest groups.
Barry,
When you have
help me with this.
manufacturing in this country being dealt with in 10 lines in a budget. 10 lines in a budget. But you have now taken the former head of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association and given her a political appointment
On Invest
to head Invest TT. And she has not one word to say after the budget is presented about why there are only 10 lines in the budget with respect to manufacturing. And there are no clear identifiable goals in terms of increasing the capacity of manufacturing as it relates to GDP. Then you know something in this country is seriously wrong.
And you know who they replace her with?
Personal patrimony and are not there for the interests of Trinidad and Tobago.
You know,
Anil, I often say there are people in this country who only have mouth for Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Only mouth for Kamla Prasad Bisesa, but nobody else. Because, you see, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa was a very fair individual.
Who would listen?
She knew how to speak to people. She knew how to deal with people. But it seems that there are some people in this country who
like
operate
bullying.
on fear, who operate on favor. And that is why some of them have gone totally silent. But we will continue to call them out. I am hoping to be among some of the first to speak in the budget debate. And I will be calling out some of these people who have gone silent over the past 5 to 6 years.
Barry,
when a government can take elements of the hydrocarbon industry and reclassify it, to say we have grown in the manufacturing sector outside of energy products, playing smart with foolishness, and the manufacturing association and those who are involved know of these reclassification and have not one word to say, but is supporting these lies, these blatant lies, and the fudging of the numbers and the fudging of the criteria, then they are part of the problem. They can never be part of the solution.
Barry, I just want to add to your little bit on trade and industry. Do you know who replaced Costello, who was moved by Paula Gopi-Schoon into the position of chairman of Invest TT? And Costello, who was supposed to be independent at the TTMA, she is now saying that she has a goal of for the next year attracting 50 million in foreign direct investment, even though they boast that they attracted 125 million per year for the last 4 years. But you know who replaced Costello at the TTMA head? Are you aware?
Tell us.
Trisha Kusal, Rowley Kusal partner daughter. And them come out and the budget good.
History of $1 billion contract.
Yes, to say the budget good.
And they expect these persons to be impartial and to have integrity.
Wow.
And then want to point fingers at the opposition.
What can we look forward to tomorrow, 10 a.m.? Come up aside, Mr. 10 a.m. The whole country should be listening, Barry.
Anil, you're going to hear fire, fire, and more fire. Mrs. Prasad Bissessa have been in touch with several colleagues. She is going to rip and shred that budget to pieces. I think most importantly, what she is going to do based on some of what she has shared with some of our colleagues in terms of her preparation is really identifying the bread and butter issues, but also the macroeconomic issues that has Trinidad and Tobago in the position that we are in. One of the fundamental flaws of this budget, and I saw even Mala Dukram, a senior economist in this country, has joined the chorus, but Mrs. Prasad Bissessa was the very first to point this out, was the issue of the minister presenting no figures from last year. So you don't know where you were last year in terms of what the national debt was in terms of debt to GDP. You have no figures as it relates to unemployment, as it relates to inflation, etc. No macroeconomic indicators to tell the country where we were to where we are today, or you're telling the country we're resilient.
We're going to the news now. Barry Padarat,
so
MP for
Imber told us on Monday what his leader has said, kiss my, but Kamla Prasad Bissessa will tell them where to get off tomorrow.
Thank you, Barry Padarat. Thank you, my brother, MP for Princestown. We going now. MCTV, U97.5 FM joins the news.
Said they were happy with the news, but there were some issues still to be sorted out.
We have some gray areas that we would want to clarify, but definitely it would definitely affect thousands of nursing personnel as we speak. And the nursing personnel really have been calling the association to show their appreciation themselves, and we really must commend whatever are the extenuating circumstances, the announcement, and we hope the fulfillment of that promise would be made by the end of the year, as the minister indicated, but we are definitely.
Stewart went on to say the news has positively affected nurses across the country. He added it would certainly give them stability as it relates to their pensions as well.
This was our number one issue. We have many other issues, but this was a central issue of thousands. And by that statement, it not only affected the nursing personnel who were temporary and now would be made permanent, but it also affected the permanent workers also, because the permanent workers pay into a pension plan. That pension plan, by all aspects, all the RHAs pay into that pension plan held by a financial institution, was, in our view, in jeopardy, because if you have persons continuously retiring, drawing down from that pension plan, and you don't have any new persons coming into the system as permanent workers, and thereby contributing to that pension plan, the overall pension plan will suffer.
There has been no decline in the number of persons turning up to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Last week, Health Minister Terence D'Alting announced a greater demand for the jab. Speaking at the COVID-19 press conference yesterday, he said there was no tapering of that demand.
That we started to see an uptick of about 50% in the number of vaccines administered. And you may recall, it would have been mentioned that very often when we start off a Monday of any week at a given number, prior to last week Monday, that the numbers tend to tail off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into the weekends. I am happy to report that from last week, Monday, which was the 27th of September, to yesterday, Tuesday, 6th October, for the first time in many weeks, we have seen no tapering off of that demand.
The minister went on to note there would be an additional push in the coming weeks to share the second dose vaccines with those persons who desire it. Dial Singh also provided an update on the vaccination of children between the ages of 12 to 18.
The 12 to 18 school population, first dose 44,677, and of that 32,187 have received their second dose, so roughly 32,000 depending on when they receive their second dose. If it's 2 weeks ago and further, they are now considered fully vaccinated. If it's less than 2 weeks, they are on their way to be fully vaccinated.
And switching the focus now, the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago is not happy with the budget. In fact, the ASTT did not get any money. Here is this report from Andrea Murray.
The Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago is not satisfied they were not provided any subvention in the agriculture budget allocation. The president of ASTT, Dal Rampasad, stated that they don't benefit from not receiving anything from the allocations.
That budget has left the Agriculture Society of Trinidad and Tobago very disappointed, as we have received zero subvention for projects, right, we will not be able to assist our farmers as we usually do in any construction of roads, the silting of ponds and these kind of things. Prior to that, we heard last year, in last year's budget, that there was a $500 million allocation for agriculture. I can safely say that we did not see any intervention from that $500 million besides the NAMDEFCO veggie program.
Rampasad stated that all messages to the Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, Clarence Rambarat, have not been answered.
I have written several correspondence to the Minister of Agriculture asking, begging, pleading, stretching my hand for a meeting with that individual that we can work together for the benefit of the farmers of Trinidad and Tobago. To date, since coming into office, since January the 10th of 2021, I have not been able to have a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture. I have also written to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who has also written back to me indicating that he instructed the Minister of Agriculture to have a meeting with us. And again, till date, no meeting of such.
He stated that this will have an impact on how they assist the agriculture community.
This will have a huge impact on the Agriculture Society of Trinidad and Tobago, as providing of goods and services will be hindered because we have not received that project subvention, nor have we received any subvention to pay the board of the Agriculture Society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Rampasad said it comes to a point where he believes the organization is being discriminated against. I am Andrea Marie, reporting for MCTV.
In other agricultural-related news, assistance has been given to farmers in Felicity as there continues to be an infestation of the giant African snail. Here's Andrea Murray once again.
Carlson Chemicals has come up with a solution to help combat the infestation of giant African snails, which is creating a havoc for Felicity farmers. The giant African snail has been a recurring problem for the farmers, but Carlson Chemicals is providing a chemical that can get rid of the pest.
So we at Carlson Chemicals have recognized that the snail is in fact a problem to food security, and we have developed a solution by using something called thiovin to help farmers and even householders to create their own snail bait to control this pest, okay? And we also are aware that the snails carry meningitis, right, which is a very big problem. So where these snails are moving around, you don't want persons to be walking bare feet and all these things, because it could in fact create some problems.
Carlson Chemicals was joined by the Mayor of Shogunas, Faiq Mohammed, and the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago. The company's representative, Michael Babulal, explained how easily the snail bait can be made.
So the snail bait is very simple and very economic to the farmer, as well as anybody who who can use the snail bait because it's simply a trap using vegetable scraps, right? You know, sometimes in your kitchen you may have these vegetable scraps. So you don't have to necessarily use your good vegetables that you would cook, but the scraps, for instance, the banana skin, the potato skin, the cabbage, the old cabbage leaves that probably would pluck off, all these vegetable scraps, you could gather them, and this is what we're going to use now, along with the thiovin, and also we're going to include a beer, right? The beer, the purpose of the beer is because the malt in the beer is what is going to attract the snails faster.
The mayor spoke on the harm the African giant snail is causing in the community.
The giant African snails are producing rapidly and they are becoming difficult to contain. This is causing destruction to farmers' crops and farming districts and farming lands, thus causing a major problem for food security in this country and human health. So I am pleased to be here collaborating with Carlson Chemicals and Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago to eradicate this pest from Trinidad and Tobago and Felicity and environs.
Throughout Trinidad and Tobago, there is an issue with African giant snails destroying farmers' crops. I am Andrea Marie reporting for MCTV.
Taking a look at your weather now for the period today until midnight in Trinidad and Tobago. Sunshine will be interrupted by partly cloudy/cloudy intervals with showers, especially over southern and western areas of Trinidad. There is also a medium to high or 60 to 70% chance of isolated thunderstorm activity. Tonight will be generally settled apart from isolated showers. Street flooding and gusty winds are possible, and there is also a risk of the isolated flash flooding event. Last night's minimum temperature was 24.1 degrees Celsius, while today's maximum is an expected 31 degrees Celsius. And that brings us to the end of the 8 a.m. news on MCTV. Just to let you know, we won't have midday news today as we will be observing the start of the Diwali period. You can enjoy our special live feature, Diwali Katal, starting at 8:30 a.m. and running till 1 p.m. Our next major news comes up at 4 p.m. I am Andrew Chan. Do enjoy your morning.
And that's news on U97.5 FM, MCTV, WBHM, the voice of rock, and Fun Radio. Sponsored by Newsday. Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This Navratri, shop and save at Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan. Shop early and avoid the Diwali rush. We have new arrivals of imported decorated diyas in vibrant colors, plus Hawan packs, Diwali decorations, pirhas, and wooden Bedi boxes. Try our economical and convenient variety packs of wax and plain diyas. Plus, get your oil and wicks, floating and cotton. At Prem Singh's, we have freshly prepared dahi and ground elaichi powder, plus prasad bags, sweet boxes, and paper suhari leaves. If you're fasting, you'll enjoy our vegetarian products, Indian groceries, curries and spices, and make sure to order your Navratri and Diwali sweets early. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan for one-stop shopping at affordable prices. We're at the corner of Watt Street in Kirep. Call 663-6084 and Justine I Street, Shogunas, opposite the Charlieville taxi stand. Call 672-4423. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan. Visit us today. It's a family tradition, serving the nation and Dharma.
Rook the Rhine Home Center, Carney Savannah Road, Chabonas. Manufacturers of indoor and outdoor furnishing, patio set, kitchen cupboard, bathroom and house doors in any color and design in mahogany, teak, cedar and pine. You order, we deliver. Rook the Rhine Home Center, Carney Savannah Road, Chabonas. Satisfying every customer. Call Rook the Rhine Home Center, 665-7667.
Celebrate Republic Day with a craving for savings extravaganza. Facade Food King celebrates with pride our nation's 45th Republic Day, and we're giving you a national sale of savings like no other with over 250 super saving deals to choose from. You can be sure to budget like a boss and eat like a king in these tough times with your favorite family supermarket, Facade the Food King. Check this out. Mabel Morby Concentrate, 2 for $10. Pepsi 2 liter, 3 for $18. Red Rose tea bags, 3 packs for $20. Maya Laundry Detergent Powdered Assorted, 6 packs for $20. Hibiscus All-Purpose Flour, 4 packs for $20. And Soft and Pretty Bathroom Tissue, 6 pack, 2 for $18.99. Yes, that's right. This Republic Day and beyond, the unbelievable deals, the specials, and the savings are available at all Passad the Food King locations. Manson La Road, Mayaro, Tabaquite Road, Rio Claro, New Grant, 2 stores in Quincestown, 2 in Point Fortin, and Premier Street, Marabella, next to the Marabella Market.
Cocky, what is the year? Tell me, talk to the people. What year are we in, Cocky?
What year?
Yeah, what year is this?
It's 2021. It's Thursday, October the 7th.
I like that radio voice. Give him that again. I want to make sure. What was the date, Cocky?
It's Thursday, October 7th, 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
And some billionaire and thing went and line up in space. They went up, they paid for a shuttle and them went in space and thing in 2021 last month. Bezos and them. And they come back down. You heard about that then? It is 2021. And it's internet and Facebook and Instagram and all these things. And is that going on?
Of course.
And this digitalization, apps, people making billions of dollars with apps on their phone and their laptops and so. That's the age we in?
Yeah.
No. You're serious, Cocky?
I'm serious. I heard about the space flight where a certain amount of money you can get to go.
Yes, we can go there, but them boys who could buy $1 billion ticket and so on, them went up there to lime in space. Ain't that happen?
Yes.
It's 2021, right, Cocky?
2021.
Well, Cocky, the PNM Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines in 2021 cut ribbon to open a standpipe yesterday. Cocky a standpipe. All you feel is joke. Listen, we post that on Douglas Politics this morning. Archie post up that on Douglas Politics. It reached 10,000 people already. Let me hear some of the comments. In 2021, the PNM with Ethelbert Hines went up in Laventille not to hand out 3,000 laptops, not to hand out 20,000 smartphone, not to hand out MiFi, not to hand out books and textbooks for the children. Ethelbert Hines, the Minister of National Security, went with the special branch, all the special branch brothers and things. I know all you laugh, you know. All you really watch a Minister of National Security and a Member of Parliament put a ribbon around a standpipe and cut it in 2021 when the rest of the world going and lime in space. We cutting ribbon for standpipe. Let me read some of the comments. From the Douglas Politics page. In this day and age, then they start to clap like they win the lottery. A man bought a set of clowns in this government at Talbot. Somebody sarcastically say, our government is working a standpipe. And a man ball, I remember a joke of many years ago. A PNM minister cutting ribbons to open a swimming pool. Lots of fanfare and media reporting, constituents happy. Only to be there all that the pool will be get water in 2 years' time. And they applauded thunderously. And somebody asked, I wonder how much that ribbon costs. It must be cost more than the standpipe. Anybody know? I'm asking for a friend. Somebody else, this is shameful, shameless. Let me, all you serious?
And then we can't drink and wash with that water.
Cocky, let me tell you something. This PNM is so disgusting. And they play that, you see, they play a race game. But in 2021, the PNM is celebrating putting a standpipe outside for my black children to go and turn on and put their hand to drink water like we used to do in 1978 when I played my first football match on Nestle ground by the highway there, and they didn't have no water. They had a standpipe. Half time we had to go by the standpipe. We didn't know to take water cooler with igloo and ice and thing, and we put our hands on, we drink water from the standpipe at half time on the Milo ground. That was 1978. A man was saying he remember that Councillor, and we'll have him on tomorrow. He say he remember doing that Surajdev Mangaru, and Councillor will talk to him and the chairman of the corporation, Dr. Alan Sami, down there in the Southland, being neglected by the PNM. He remember 5 decades ago celebrating a standpipe in his village. 50 years ago. The PNM gone in Lavanti and cut ribbon to open a standpipe corky in 2021, and only really serious. Mama guy in black people with a standpipe. Penelope Beckles 2-3 weeks ago cut ribbon for some mailbox up there in the East-West corridor. Mailbox, you know. About 8 months ago, they cut ribbon for a transportation hub. It's a Francoman bus shed, you know. A bus shed with a galvanized, you know. This is the PNM delivery. Them really take time to take people up there to take a picture and mama guy and poor people children. But I told you also, all you listen to the budget. You feel I could shock you again, Corky?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I is a sportsman. I love sport and things. So it was deeply depressing that a man read a budget for 3 hours and 48 minutes. Yes. And sport got 300 words, 1 minute and 24 seconds, of which 160 of the words is nonsensical words like Madam Speaker and all them kind of thing. So really and truly, sport got about 140 words. In that 140 words, Corky, and listen carefully, you know, my brother.
Yes.
Coleman Butt said that in this last budget period, 2020-2021 budget, that the PNM constructed the community pool in Lavanti. Right? Here the problem. You ready? Yeah. The community pool in Lavanti was opened by the Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley on June 23, 2019. But in this budget read Monday here, Colmember talking about boasting as that is an achievement during this fiscal period that passed, even though the pool opened 2 years and 6 months before that. You're laughing, Corky? Only in this PNM, you know. And the mama guy, the people of Lavanti and say Olympic size pool. Corky, an Olympic size pool is 50 meters. Right. 50. The pool, and it is 10 lanes. It's 25 meters wide. Yes, that's an Olympic size pool. They build a 25-meter pool by 6 lane and telling the children in Lavanti, look at this great Olympic size pool we built for all you. But I tell the story here down there. In the budget, in the little 140 words for sport. Here Coleman Butt. In one breath he say he now build the pool, even though that done ribbon cut and open. Telbert gives speech, Rowley gives speech. They say the pool, the Lavanti people not good enough to manage the pool. They bring Coast Guard and Army because they don't want the pool to turn green and turn green for frog. Never mind the aquatic center that I build, the best in the Western Hemisphere. The PNM turn it green, you know. Frog was swimming in it. They don't even know how to manage and keep an aquatic center of the highest technological order in order. The cycling velodrome that I built just up the road there. Yes. The air condition breakdown for 17 months. The PNM couldn't fix the air condition. You could imagine Nicholas Paul and them training on the track. And they sweating. And the sweat wetting the wood and they skidding out at 80 kilometers per hour to dead and end up in the Cuba hospital.
My gosh.
But the story didn't end there. Hear this one. Coleman Butt say on the budget Monday that the PNM build the pool in Mova Lavanti and they upgrade it in this. So the pool will, now we know the pool done, built since 2019. But in this mamagism thing called a budget of the PNM, who does cut ribbon for standpipe, the Coleman Butt in 2 paragraphs, first paragraph he say, Don't let me lie to you, no. Look at printed here verbatim. Look, I had the page and let me read what Coleman say. I am pleased to report, said Coleman, that despite the delays in COVID-19 in the government construction as a result of lockdown measures, we have constructed the Lavanti Community Swimming Pool. The Lavanti Community Swimming Pool was finished and open before COVID even reached. It was opened on June 23rd, 2019. COVID reached Trinidad in 2020, 7 or 8 months after that. Lockdown come a year after it opened. And Coleman but saying despite lockdown, them build the pool in Lavanti. In this budget he read Monday, you know. But then lower down he said, we have also upgrade works are nearing completion at the community swimming pools at Mova and Maloney. The Maloney pool ain't even finished construct yet. Them take down the sign. The same Noel Garcia, Udicott man who building everything, he building that pool. Them only building small pool to mama guy black people to say it's Olympic size. We going and get Olympic gold medalists from there. Look, the Olympic coach standing up right here, sitting down right here talking with you on U97.5. PNM is full of mamagism.
Why has this been going on for so long?
Because they play race. Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, unlike Barbados, Antigua, St. Lucia, Jamaica, St. Kitts, Dominica, Trinidad and Tobago, because of our history, has been populated by two distinct major groupings, Afro-Trinbagonians and Indo-Trinbagonians. Dr. Williams created a system that in politics, to stay in power, you create racial political divide. And therefore, politics in Trinidad and Tobago is not about performance, because just today you would see UNC, desalination plant, PNM, standpipe, UNC, aquatic center, best in the Western Hemisphere. They don't have nothing like that in the United States of America. They don't have a facility like that is in Couva that I built in Canada. That facility is better than anything in the Western Hemisphere. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's United National Congress. The PNM built twice a community pond in Lavanti and Mamagai people. Why? Because they play race and they make the people dance and whine and say, don't like them Indian, don't vote for that, divide the country and vote PNM, gerrymander the boundaries and then take what you get. But we win because you feel election is like a football game. Yeah. Election is not. In Jamaica, governments come and go based on economic policies, job creation, foreign exchange, tourism industry, taxation, investment. Dominica, why? Because the entire population is black. 90% of the population in Jamaica is African, so it had no race. So you have to come with policy, you have to come with sense, you have to come with plans, and people will determine how they're voting based on that. In Antigua, in Barbados, same thing. You have basically one race is the majority. So therefore, race don't come into no election in Grenada. Grenada, they just vote on if you perform good, if you're corrupt, if you're good for education, if you're good for sport, if you diversify the economy, you win election in Grenada. But in Trinidad and Tobago, you could be a heartless clown like Rowley, lie down the place, mama guy people, cut ribbon for standpipe, and then vote black versus Indian. That is why I as a Douglas say, stop it. Because it have no race. We all Trinidad and Tobago, we all bleed the same blood. Vote for policy. Kamala bring Culver Hospital. Rowley put a health center. Rowley cutting ribbon for a bus shed. Kamala built a highway to Point 14 that nearly reached. That highway shut down for 6 years. It air move. What has Rowley done for the people? Kamala given education, laptops, gate, textbooks, built 106 schools. Rowley ain't built a school in the first 5 years of his regime. He now finished off 5 schools that Tim Gopi Singh left at 80% complete back in 2015. And that if you vote on performance, if you vote on policy, if you vote on intelligence, the PNM will be obliterated from the electoral landscape. The only thing holding up PNM is the 60 years of racial politics.
Anil, how do we stop this in give me 3 things we can do to stop this.
They only need one.
One.
And here's the one. Who cares what Rikoki, what you had to do, you're a black man. You had anything to do with that? You had nothing to do with what you is.
Right.
Your father saw your beautiful mother, put some lyrics, try his best, take she on a date, court she, get through, and you born. What the hell that had to do with you? So how come race becomes so important? We are one nation, Trinidad and Tobago, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural, as we say here on U97.5 Hot Like Pepper. Vote policy. Forget who look like and who don't. All are we look the same. We's all Trinbagonian. Yes. All are we, when we going down the road, we like nice woman walking, whatever they look, whatever they nice brown thing, nice black thing, nice Indian, nice mix up, nice Douglas, nice Chinese, nice Syrian, all Trinbagonian. When we lime together. When we cook together. When we play football and cricket, we play together. Why in politics they always come with race? Because race makes idiots become in charge. When you vote on policy, look at all the other islands. The only 2 areas that have dotish politics is Guyana and Trinidad. Because the politicians that existed before created a racial political divide to ensure that mediocrity can survive. If you want me force, I'll give you one, I'll give you a second way. You know a second way that could stop it?
Yes.
Let the media stop playing the fool. Let the media print the truth. Let them ask the right questions. Let the media be impartial and attack and go after information with the same passion, whether it is red in charge or yellow in charge. Once the media is not corrupt and bought out, then we would have better elections. We would vote on who perform. We would not be in this morass where people could come and cut ribbon for a flipping standpipe in 2021. All you no shame, PNM. A standpipe, you know, boy. Here the next thing.
Yeah.
All of this bacchanal in sport. You believe, when I was Minister of Sport, Larry Hawaii read his first budget must be 2012 or 2013, so. You know where I got sport put? Always in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Sport does come if a man read a 3-hour budget, morning. If a man read a 3-hour budget, then sport will come at 2 hours and 52 minutes. Right? And sport will only get a mention by the way. Before I reach and after I reach. When I was there as Minister of Sport, Larry Hawaii in the first 10 minutes of his budget presentation was referring to sport. Sport as an industry, sport for job creation, sport for movement forward, sport as a growth pole, sport across the board. Sport was in the main part of the budget, right? Sport was there. Now we reach by Coleman Butt. And sport on page 105, a page and a half, double space, and a bag of nonsense. Here the next nonsense Coleman Butt talking sport. He says sport tourism. Now, sport tourism, there are many great opportunities, but COVID-19 has put pain to that. However, if we had managed COVID-19 properly, if we did not have vaccine hesitancy due to the incompetence of Rowley and the lack of education, communication strategy, and information being disseminated, then we would have been in a pristine bubble, especially with Tobago being the perfect bubble that it was before Rowley infected the whole island. We could have taken advantage, a comparative advantage in sports tourism by handling the COVID-19 pandemic better. Unfortunately, the reverse has happened and we are on the red list. So sport tourism is not even on the cards because we have vaccination hesitancy. Only 42% of the population is fully vaccinated, and other countries, other territories have beaten us because their governments have been more proactive, have educated and communicated. They did not buff and threaten, and they got got the population to a higher level of vaccination. Furthermore, they kept their borders safe, and the COVID-19 variants did not hit them and impact them like in Trinidad and Tobago. We are now feeling the effects of the Delta. The Brazilian variant ravaged us, and we had 1,520 deaths and growing. So, sport tourism is a great opportunity and possibility.
Yes.
That's why I built the cycling velodrome, the National Tennis Center are getting acclaim all across the globe. All of the international federations are saying what amazing facilities we have. But the PNM did not market it. They did not get the coaches down. They did not open it. They didn't have a plan. They could not even read the cabinet notes that I left there. There are cabinet notes for diving, for example. In the aquatic center, we have 10-meter platform, 7-meter platform, 5-meter platform, 3-meter springboard, 1-meter platform, and so on. And the PNM has not utilized that because they did not bring one diving coach. So in 6 years, that pool has just been up there waiting for mosquito to dip down in it to drink water. Not one child has learned to dive.
But why?
You asking me a hard question, go and ask Balize House that, because they don't care about sport. They put a lady who knows nothing about sport. She says she's the sport minister because she does walk half marathon. So what you want me to say? But Imbot comes to talk sport tourism now. And he even catch some of we intelligent people, On MCTV, we have a brilliant show now called The Power Play with Vinud Mamchan, Ria Karim, and Gordon Pear. Yes. 9:30 on MCTV, right here on Multicultural Television. Brilliant interviews, brilliant, intelligent people. Gordon Pear get catch by Imbot. Imbot catch Gordon Pear. Gordon Pear yesterday on Power Play on MCTV, bowling, yes. And sport tourism, we are going to get, says Coleman, but we are going to get under-19 World Cup cricket here in January. And that's going to be sport tourism and involve investment, and people going to come. And then we're going to get the England test. We're going to get some matches in February 2022. Gordon Pear, you must always be careful with Coleman, but Coleman is a very intelligent skullman. And when he reads to catch you off guard. But he can't catch Anil off guard because I read and listen to what Coleman said. So Gordon Pear and some of the other media express and them printing, yes man, World Cup under-19 cricket coming, sport tourism. England coming, sports tourism. And powerboat race coming in February. First and foremost, what sport tourism is a powerboat race? Is that a spectator sport? Where the stadium for the powerboat race? In the middle of the Gulf of Paria by the Kingfish and Carried? Where are the people going to come to flock and sit down and watch a powerboat race? The only benefit of a powerboat race towards sport tourism is on a marketing end, which means that it may be shown on TV, on some of these websites and so on for powerboat racing. And if we have something to advertise, we could advertise Trinidad and Tobago, market it, and people would hopefully come. But with COVID-19 and us being at low vaccination and in the red list, nobody ain't coming. So you're wasting your marketing money because marketing money only lasts for a certain period. You can't market something now for 10 years down the line. People don't forget that. You understand? Yes. But here the next thing. And I want my brother Gordon Pear to listen carefully to what Coleman said. You get tied up. I put it to you, Gordon Pear, we are getting no under-19 cricket here whatsoever. Not a match. We're not even getting a flight. You will have to do a power play interview with the under-19 World Cup squad from St. Kitts, Barbados, Grenada, Antigua, somewhere. We're not getting a match, Gordon Pear, of the power play team. Let me tell you why. Anil wouldn't just talk so just off the top of my head. Let's listen to what exactly Colm said, Corky.
Yes.
Plans are also underway for this country to host several major sporting events. Oh gosh, Colm, it sounds good. The government has approved the submission of a bid to host matches in January in the 2022 ICC Men's Under-19 Cricket World Cup. So the government has approved a bid. Okay. So the key is a bid. What is a bid? A bid is a document that different territories in the Caribbean would fill out through their sporting organization, in this case the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board, and send to the WICB. Now this bid really and truly, if you're going to host matches, should have been completed about 18 months before the event. We are now in October, November, December, January. We're 3 months away from the tournament. So therefore, number one, the bid that has not gone in yet, the bid is late. Number one. Number two, a bid is a request and it's a competition. There are going to be other islands who are going to bid. And then the bid committee is going to look at the bids and select. Okay. So let's look at some of our competition just out there. St. Kitts just had the CPL. Their COVID-19 rates are 0 deaths and so on. Dominica, Barbados, Grenada, Antigua, Jamaica. These countries are not on the red list for COVID-19. They have their COVID-19 under control. So what is going to be the first and most important factor in determining who is going to host games in 3 months' time? Isn't it going to be COVID-19? We in Trinidad and Tobago are on the worst list of COVID-19. Therefore, on the bid documents, we are in last place because we have COVID-19, 8 people dead in per day. We have 200 infection per day. We have Delta variant coming in. So we are not going to be on the high end of any bid to get any games. Secondly, what is the bid document and when was it completed? What is the investment? The government say they have no money to even give you VAT off sugar and salt. What is the position? What is the proposition? What is the position for spectators coming into Trinidad and Tobago? Trinidad and Tobago's position is very strict and stern and rigid because of the ravaging COVID-19 as opposed to Barbados, Grenada, Dominica, St. Kitts. So we will not win any bid. I put it to you, Gordon Pay that call me, but catch you. And there's not one game. Let's go on now to England. Yes. England in the Caribbean in 2022. He said, Imbut said, we are considering the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board's interest. Considering. What does that mean in the government? A government moves very slowly. Imbut is reading out that he is considering the interest in hosting a game in February, 4 months away. He has not considered, he has not consented, he has not approved, he has not allocated any money, he has not done anything to assist the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board in hosting any flipping game with England. Gordon Pay, you on power play saying, we get in cricket, we get none. Because Colmimbut is only now in October considering. When you read a budget, there's a lag of about 6 to 8 weeks before releases can be each ministry can apply for their releases and so on. So there's a time lag. So even if he's considering and tomorrow he say yes, there's 6 to 8 weeks before a cent could be allocated for the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board to make any bid for England match in February. And I put it to you that the WICB has probably already decided the venue of every single match, whether test match, one day or T20 with England for that tour in February 2022 already. So Gordon Pay, you mustn't get tied up with Colmimbut. You're brighter than that. Big show power play and you're talking nonsense. Colmimbut catch you. It had no cricket in January, no under 19 cricket and no England cricket. All you will get is a powerboat race and where the stadium is to watch that. They building one in the Gulf of Paria, so give me a chance, Gordon Pay. All you mustn't let Imbut mama guy all you. 218-7762.
The man get catch.
The man get catch, easy. So big bright man, Gordon Pay. My brother, I love you, but you must pay attention, man. Mustn't let call mama guy all. So good morning.
Good morning, Anil.
What's happening, my brother?
How are you, sir?
I good, man. I just wish my population will read a little bit more and be a little bit more insightful and make good decisions.
You know, I'm hearing you this morning, and it has to be laughable as to what is being passed for governance in Trinidad and Tobago. It has to be laughable. I feel as though it's a comedy show, and it's ongoing. Yeah. You are telling me, Trinidad and Tobago, we are in 2021, right? And big fanfare, big, big commotion for the commissioning. I use big words. The commissioning.
Commissioning.
Right? The commissioning and the opening of a standpipe. Are you telling me this is what passes for governance?
Boy, go on Douglas Politics Facebook and go and check the picture. You saw it?
I saw it.
So you know Anil lie. They commission a standpipe.
So I want to ask the detractors against the United National Congress. This is what you want for governance. You had a bus shed. You use a big word for a bus shed. Right? Big word for bus shed. Then you come now and you do this. And this is what's passing for governance. Could never be. My God, how could this be governance? And then we just had an Olympics. Now, I know you know I love my sports too.
Yes.
And I'll always say, when you were Minister of Sports, I will always remember the constituency of St. Joseph. That massive park that we have. It was you as Minister of Sports when Mr. Volney was MP for St. Joseph. And we told him, MP, that park down there, that big recreation ground, we need light. He said, well, I have to talk to Anil. I said, boss, don't talk now, call him now. Within a few weeks, the St. Joseph Recreation Ground got light. So that is my preamble to say. We just had an Olympics where I think we must have been the worst showing of Trinidad and Tobago ever.
Not must have been. It was the worst showing of any Olympic team in the history of Trinidad and Tobago as an independent republic and as a Commonwealth country. Good. It is the worst showing since the modern Olympics began by Baron de Coubertin in 1896 of Trinidad and Tobago.
So I would have expected in this budget that we would have heard some more interest into ensuring our sporting facilities, our sportsmen, our Olympians were able to get some assistance because clearly they really needed it. But I don't know. It was insulting to sports persons to hear absolutely nothing. And I will close with this, my friend. Tomorrow, Trinidad and Tobago, listen well. You will hear an excellent budget response that will be coming. And I just want to close by saying
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Stuart Young, you have to be the most embarrassment ever. You just put out on the news, I knew nothing about they were going to raise LPG. You are the sir. Sorry to say it like that. How could you say you don't know? How could you say that? You could have been a Kamala Prasad in the cabinet and said, Prime Minister, I didn't know about that, you know.
Yeah, he know about rental. He know about how he brother company getting to give loans, though. He know that. Right. He know about recusal.
And I am telling all persons who have LPG gas and all who want and vote PNM, I hope you know you have to pay more for under your pot.
Blessings, my brother. God bless. 218-7762. We on U97.5 FM. Doubles and Coffee. Good morning.
Good morning, Anil.
Good morning.
Doubles, Coffee and Sahina.
Sahina, you're going by the standpipe?
Boy, I had to pull down my pants and I had a standpipe.
Oh Lord.
But beside that, we underestimating the PNM, you know.
Tell me.
The PNM could build things in water, you know. Remember a fella who was in the Ministry of Education, you know, named Lovell Francis. You remember that fella?
Oh God, he wanted to fit in the big waves in Maracas. With the electricity, yes.
For that boy. Don't underestimate them.
Electricity, alcohol, and gasoline. And he calling people dance.
What I want only to do for me, I want to plug for the students. We leaving them back 18 months. We had to forget about the hyenas in the jungle and things, forget about that. We have to have and basically optimize the virtual classroom where education can be delivered to the student. And I am plugging in for teachers, and I'm hoping that somebody will take it and run with it. Improve the connectivity for teachers, and you could do it by budget allocations. Get them a rebate. All teachers, work with the networks. All teachers who want to participate and to deliver better online classes, we're going to give all a rebate. And this is only for teachers, eh?
Who going to give them a rebate, boss?
Well, put it in the budget now. They buy it.
Hey,
and basically when they're doing
my brother, you know what I love about you? You know what I love about you? The Sahina soak in your brain. The PNM has shown you for 6 years. They don't care about education. They don't care about young people. They don't care about black people. They don't care about poor people. They don't care about teachers. They don't care about labor. You come in to request of the PNM that them put connectivity for teacher. Go and eat some more Sahina, boy. You living in a dream world. Them don't care about what you care about there.
But the same thing, I still have hope.
You have hope?
The other thing I want.
You sweet too, man.
Wanted to know who was in the Queen bedroom. Sparrow sing this song. We had to sing a song too. Like them,
sing
all
it.
them Calypsonians get them. Let me sing it and prong them. She has to
you
come
sing
out
it.
and tell me who was in the office, who was
sing
in
it
the
for
bedroom,
me.
who was in the courtyard. I'm going to have a nice one.
But yeah, sing the Kaiso, sing the Kaiso now. Who was in Paula May bed on the August 12th? Was it you, Rowley? You went down there with your horny goatweed? Hey, Rowley, did you go with your horny goatweed down in President's house and wake up the sleeping, slumbering president? Did you go and intercept Bliss and make she so excited with your floppy disk? Ah, Rowley, was it you? Eh? We asking you on coffee and doubles. Good morning.
Anil, good morning to you. It's the first time caller to your program.
Good morning.
It's back on the radio. Yeah, Anil, I don't know. I just really calling to see if you read something from me, please, when you're in your senatorial position to the nation's parliament. My son attends St. James Government Secondary, Form 5. Unfortunately, he's unvaccinated. But here's my whole come. Since training him back out to school, Form 4, Form 5, and Upper 6, my son hasn't been able to experience no sort of teaching in the school because the teachers at the school say they're unable to deal with children in the school presently and virtually. And apart from that, the school doesn't have no big set of internet provided services. I know when the time arrives and you're in the Senate,
yes.
Could you raise this question because I find it very, for me as a parent, it's frustrating because yes, they're saying get the children vaccinated, but after getting vaccinated, you can still get this COVID virus and you can still spread it. And this was beating me as a parent. And the next thing also, we still have teachers in the school that's unvaccinated. So how? It's just one thing for the students and some for the teachers.
Well, you are correct. And that's St. James Secondary, but I can tell you, that is the system across the country that makes no sense. They're talking about safe zone in bar and restaurant and cinema. But the schools are not a safe zone. But of course, let me tell you, that's the problem. They are not even considering. You do not even know, with all due respect, if you had COVID. Did you take an antibody test?
No, I haven't taken no antibody test.
Right. So therefore, let me tell you something. They are making policies that make no sense. You don't even know if your son or your child at St. James Secondary had COVID because the government has not provided antibody testing. If you had COVID-19, you have a natural immunity that is equivalent to vaccination, similar. Right? They're testing to see which one is better and so on. But both give you some form of protection. Natural immunity is a serious thing. What is the position if my child had COVID-19? They can't go into school because they don't have a vaccination. But I have natural immunity. What is the value of natural immunity? The government has not said. Their policy is guesswork and it's suffering people, children. And to have schools that are not safe zone, I am as confused as you, my brother.
I don't know, but it's really frustrating. Like I said, as a parent.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
They say on October 11th, you could take your child that can't get educated. And you could, if you're vaccinated, go in a safe zone in a water park. But they talk nothing about beach and river. Even though when you're at the beach and river, it's hot sun, breeze, distance, separation, all kind of things, salt water. But they come to say they could go in a water park with air condition and same chlorine water, hugging up and touching up each other. You want to know why? Because Rahal owned the water park.
Yeah.
So it's best you let Rahal buy St. James Secondary, your child go get educated.
Yeah, we all know Anil since they spend the money to build a water park, they hasn't really get a good year.
They spend their money. They spend all your P&M government money. It's how much contract them get. Their money. It's your money them spending.
Yeah, Anil, I do want to raise one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm a man sports at my heart and more so cycling. And you see that state of the art cycling velodrome, but it has hurt me to see this wicked stinking P&M government not utilizing this facility. Understand? Right now we have the fasted world record holder, that's Tobago citizen, and he have to go outside to train quite up in UCI.
You could believe that? You could believe that? When he could stay right there, all you have to do is pay the coaches and them to come here and coach the boy and let them stay here.
The hurtful part in it, we hosted our Panam games down here, junior level of cycling. But quite at the time, the president of UCI talked about making that track a satellite track.
Yes.
Understand? And it yet still to materialize. I say, it's paying government, fire for them, you know. Fire do. I don't really care nobody take it to me. My constituency is Kid Rowley.
Oh, Lord.
Lance Meter Carnage.
Oh, Lord.
He has been the worst member of parliament representing us. The best we ever had, I believe, I was small at the time. This is Margaret Hector.
Yes. Brilliant Margaret Hector. Oh, Lord, well, you suffer down there. My father down there, too. I on the edge of Rowley, too. The place in a mess. It's only bush and grass all in the drain. No water, no electricity. Pothole, busting your tire. Lance meter, well, all it is bust tire and rim anytime you come down the hill.
Yeah. And Anil, you know, you talk about the water park. You know, yesterday on my way down to work Sagama side, you know, they outside they're walking and clean up everything on the side of the water park. But you know, on the other side, the convention center, bush growing high.
Bush growing all up in the convention center window. But it's not Rahal. They might sell the convention center to Rahal. Then you go get the bush cut. Blessings, my brother. PNM is a disease. It's an absolute disease. And last call, and then I'm finishing off all you off. You know, I talk whole morning. But you know, Corky does get tunes that is emphasize and put the points that I make into context in a calmer, smoother, sweeter way. Good morning. Turn down the volume on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've just had my double, so I'm good to go. I could talk.
Talk.
Who, this shiny man, this young, who does he feel he fooling? He never know when Delcy come and all that. He never know nothing.
He know how to negotiate contract. He know how he father does get thing. He know how he brother does get thing. He know how where Rowley was when they approved Bridgemans. He know plenty thing, man.
And the next one, I don't know how to describe here. I can describe him when that over the radio
not
station.
only people radio station. Describe him so by the pipe.
He blaming water truck and he blaming that truck.
For the road, for the pothole.
One big nasty hole for the longest while. And on the Engineer Avenue.
But Belmont is PNM. How are they pothole there?
Not just woman, darling.
No, not you, but Belmont.
I just have my fan. After yesterday, I went by the doubles man and I have my jersey, tell me to take it off. I said, but all it is rolling on. Morning, noon, and night, 365 days in a year and a quarter sometimes. Why can't I wear my own?
You wear your jersey, and tomorrow, 10 o'clock, listen to Kamla Prasad Bissessa reading the budget. Thank you, my dear. As we go, I want you to listen to this tune selected by Corky, Fitzgerald, and Talbot Hines. And the other Rasta, the two Rasta who cut ribbon for black people in a standpipe. I want all you listen to this tune, boy, Ethelbert. I'm playing it for you, Ethelbert.
This one's for all the politicians, them. Sure. In your face, them a smile up. Behind your back of money, them a pile up. Why? Try to start your business and them quick for spoil up. Hey, well done, Mr. Politician Man. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Sibbly bang, well done, Mr. Politician, man. You done such a great job selling out with country with your business plan. Well, you forget a round of applause for all the work you're doing. Decisions where you make will left the country in a ruins, yo. Strictly personal gain you're pursuing, so the tax rate higher than the planes where you're fluing. We gonna make you deal with the IMF, knowing on a box side, none of sugar cane left. The hotels and the beaches, the Spanish them go screeching. Me no know how you do it, but all my office say is well done, Mr. Politician, man. I must congratulate you. Done a wonderful
Yes, well done, I tell Bert. Well done. You cut a ribbon for a standpipe for the people. No laptop, no work, no job. Bullet going over their head. Well done. Stuart Small, Pin and the brother and them making big business plan. Well done, Mr. Politician. All you paying them have it unlocked. Play a tune, Corky.
In your face, them a smile up. Behind your back of money, them a pile up. Try to start your business and them quick for spoil up. Hey, well done, Mr. Politician, man. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Sibbly bang, well done, Mr. Politician, man. You done such a great job selling out with country with your business plan. Well, you forget a round of applause for all the work you're doing. Decisions where you make will left the country in a ruins, yo. Strictly personal gain you're pursuing, so the tax rate higher than the planes where you're fluing. We gonna make you deal with the IMF, knowing on a box side, none of sugar cane left. The hotels and the beaches, the Spanish them go screeching. Me no know how you do it, but all my office say is well done, Mr. Politician, man. I must congratulate you. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Skibbly bang, well done, Mr. Politician, man. You done such a great job selling out with country with your business plan. What kind of plan? Which is to keep poverty and unemployment on the rise. Corruption and not to mention the lies. Election are when the tension arise, so you buy with Kentucky, not to mention the fries. Anything to secure your vote, and then you rob the people to secure your vote. We go to Thailand where the Chinese own, the whole Jamaica is a Chinese loan. I tell you, well done, Mr. Politician, man.
Welcome to Rhythms Communications Network.
We are Multicultural Television, MCTV. Total local programming, the latest news, all the sports, our culture. MCTV.
MCTV is broadcasting in HD on Flow 114, Digital 22, Ampere 119, Airlink 18, RVR 109, Mayaro Cable 103, ICNTT 120. MCTV bringing you back where you belong.
U975 FM, hot like pepper multicultural radio.
All the music you know and love, played by the DJs who know how to mix it just right. We don't come slight, we come hot like pepper.
Informative and entertaining with the hottest DJs in the country. On the World Wide Web with fun radio, adult contemporary music, and
WBHM, the voice of rock.
Rhythms Communications Network, connecting cultures, connecting communities.
Time has come. New 97.5. Make it your choice. Something for everyone. 975 FM. Music for you. It's all about you.
U97.5 FM, hot like pepper, multicultural radio.
Power to the listeners.
U975 Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio and Multicultural Television MCTV, bringing you back where you belong. Part of the Rhythms Communications Network. To advertise with us, call 218-7820.
Welcome to Diwali Ka Tal, the rhythms of Diwali. May the light of Lakshmi Ma brighten your homes as we celebrate the occasion of Diwali. You are invited to be a part of the Rhythms Communications Network Diwali launch and the beginning of Navratri on Thursday, October 7th from 9 a.m. on U97.5 FM Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio and Multicultural Television. Participate in Lakshmi Puja and enjoy live performances from top artists as we celebrate the victory of light over darkness. You can listen on U97.5 FM and view us on MCTV and Facebook Live. Join us for Diwali Ka Tal. Feel the rhythms.
Blessing to all. Welcome to Facts, Not Fiction. Join me this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. sharp for another Facebook Live as we discuss facts, not fiction. Why should the government ministers benefit from the wealth of this country while our citizens suffer? Why should we pay higher food prices without any employment? Join me this Thursday on YouTube and Facebook for another live as we discuss facts, not fiction. I'm out.